Ever dreamed of a perfect camping trip? Just you, a crackling fire, and the vast starry sky? It sounds amazing, right? But sometimes the wilderness has other plans. What happens when that peaceful escape turns into a real-life horror story? Today we're diving into some of the most chilling camping trips that went terribly, terribly wrong. These stories will make you think twice before you head out into the woods alone. So, grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and get ready for some truly terrifying tales from the great outdoors. Let's start with the story of a young couple, let's call them Mark and Sarah, who decided to go on a spontaneous weekend camping trip in a remote national park. They were experienced hikers, so they weren't worried. They found a secluded spot, set up their tent, and enjoyed a beautiful sunset. As night fell, the forest came alive with sounds. Normal sounds at first, crickets, an owl hooting in the distance. But then they heard something else. A faint, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like it was coming from just outside their tent. Mark unzipped the flap and peered out, but saw nothing. He chalked it up to a branch hitting a tree in the wind. They tried to sleep, but the tapping started again, this time closer, more insistent. Tap, tap, right on the side of their tent. Their hearts pounded. Who could be out there? They yelled out, asking who it was, but only silence answered. The tapping stopped. For about an hour, everything was quiet, and they started to relax. Then, they heard a whisper. A raspy, guttural whisper right by the tent's mesh window. It wasn't words they could understand, just a chilling, inhuman sound. Terrified, they huddled together, not daring to make a sound. The whispering continued for what felt like an eternity before finally fading away. They didn't sleep a wink that night. At the first sign of dawn, they packed up in a panic and practically ran back to their car. They never went camping in that park again, and to this day, they have no explanation for what they heard. This next story takes us to the Appalachian Mountains, a place known for its beauty but also for its strange and unexplained disappearances. A group of 4 college friends, 2 guys and 2 girls, went on a multi-day hiking trip. They were well equipped and had a detailed map of the trails. On their second day, they decided to take a small, unmarked side trail that they thought would lead to a scenic overlook. The trail was faint, but they were confident. After about an hour of hiking, they realized the path had completely disappeared. They were surrounded by dense, unfamiliar forest. They tried to backtrack, but everything looked the same. The sun started to set, and a thick fog rolled in, reducing visibility to just a few feet. Panic began to set in. They decided to set up camp for the night and try to find their way back in the morning. As they sat around their small campfire, they started to feel like they were being watched. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves sent a shiver down their spines. Then, they heard it. A high-pitched scream that echoed through the trees. It didn't sound like any animal they knew. It sounded almost human, but distorted and filled with pain. They quickly put out their fire and hid in their tents, hoping whatever was out there would pass them by. Throughout the night, they heard strange footsteps circling their campsite, sometimes slow and deliberate, other times quick and frantic. The next morning, the fog had cleared, but they were still completely lost. They spent the entire day trying to find the main trail, their supplies running low. Just as despair was setting in, they stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin they hadn't seen on any map. It looked like it had been abandoned for decades. Against their better judgment, they decided to check it for any supplies or clues. Inside, it was even creepier. Dust and cobwebs covered everything, but on a rickety old table, they found a journal. The entries were dated from 50 years prior and were written by a man who had also gotten lost on the same trails. His entries grew more and more frantic. He wrote about being stalked by something in the woods, something he couldn't see but could always feel. He described hearing the same high-pitched screams and seeing strange symbols carved into trees. The last entry was barely legible. It just said, "It's inside with me. Don't look at its eyes." Chilled to the bone, the friends ran out of the cabin as fast as they could. As if by a miracle, they soon found the main trail and made it back to civilization. They reported their experience to the park rangers, but when the rangers went to find the cabin, it was gone. There was no trace of it ever having been there. Now for a story that's a bit different. It doesn't involve ghosts or mysterious creatures, but something just as scary, human beings. A man named Alex was on a solo camping trip in a popular state forest. He loved the solitude and the challenge of being on his own. He found a nice quiet spot by a lake and set up his camp. The first night was peaceful. The second day, he was relaxing by the water when he saw another man walking along the opposite shore. The man was just standing there, staring at him. Alex gave a friendly wave, but the man didn't respond. He just stood there, motionless, for about 10 minutes before turning and walking back into the woods. Alex felt a little uneasy, but shrugged it off. Later that evening, as he was cooking dinner, he heard a noise in the bushes behind him. He spun around and saw the same man, now much closer, standing at the edge of his campsite. He was just staring again with a completely blank expression. "Can I help you?" Alex asked, his hand instinctively gripping his camping knife. The man didn't say a word. He just took one slow step forward. Alex yelled, "Hey, stay back. This is my campsite." The man stopped, smiled a slow, unsettling smile, and then melted back into the trees. Now Alex was genuinely terrified. This was not normal. He knew he had to get out of there. He abandoned his dinner, packed his most essential gear into his backpack, and left his tent and everything else behind. He hiked through the dark with just his headlamp, constantly looking over his shoulder, expecting to see the man following him. He didn't stop until he reached the ranger station hours later, exhausted and terrified. The rangers took his report seriously and searched the area the next day. They found Alex's campsite, but it was completely trashed. His tent was slashed to ribbons, and his belongings were scattered and broken. Of the strange man, there was no sign. He was never found. Alex was lucky to get out when he did. It's a terrifying reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predator in the woods isn't an animal. These stories are a powerful reminder that the wilderness is beautiful, but it demands respect. It's a world that operates by its own rules, and we are just visitors. Whether it's the unexplained sounds in the dark, the feeling of being watched, or the unsettling presence of another person, these experiences stay with you forever. They transform a peaceful getaway into a fight for survival. So, the next time you think about pitching a tent in the middle of nowhere, remember these stories. Maybe go with a group, always tell someone where you're going, and most importantly, always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't wait to find out why. Thanks for watching. If you have your own creepy camping story, share it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Stay safe out there.